it's got a few problems, so let's go ahead and talk about it. What is up, guys? Dakota here, and welcome back to the Driven Mad channel. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about some things that I feel like the Bronco needs improvement on and things that I'm not a fan of compared to, you know, maybe say like my Wranglers. Had it for about 2 months now, a little over 2 months, and put about 3,500 miles on it. So I've got a decent idea of kind of what things I like about it, what things I don't. So let's go ahead and jump right into the video. And starting off at the top of the list is the actual top itself. The main thing is just compared to Wranglers, because if you guys aren't familiar with my channel, I own a 2-door JL as well as a 392 Wrangler. And compared to those, this top generates so much more wind noise at highway speeds. It's kind of hilarious actually, because that's the first thing that people point out. You know, I had my cousin and a buddy of mine in the back seat, and if you're having a conversation in the front, they can't necessarily hear what's going on in the back. And there's not that, I mean, you're right there. So it's not like it's a huge difference. So it does generate quite a lot of wind noise, which is odd considering that, you know, the windshield compared to the Wrangler this is curved, it's fixed in place, right? So there's less gaps, it should be a little bit more sealed up. Now, part of that, I believe, again, I could be wrong because I didn't engineer the top, so I'm not sure, but it looks like these gaps right here and then this where you can mount a roof rack, I feel like that's what generates most of that noise. So again, not entirely sure why, but it is loud, and I already know comments are gonna be freaking out about how you shouldn't care about that, but hey man, when you're going on a long road trip to some trails, I harp on this a lot, it sucks when, you know, the music has to fight the wind noise. So that's one thing that I think Ford could improve on, because again, compared to its direct competitor, it's not as good when it comes to that. All right, guys, so the next thing that I'm not a huge fan of in the Bronco is the rear seats. Now, I love that they fold 50-50, that they're independent of one another, so you can fold this one down and leave this one up, and then you can have a third passenger. That's awesome. The rest of it kind of seems like an oversight, because again, when you compare it to its direct competitor, the Wrangler, the way they fold and how they fold is not as good. If you guys seen any of my previous videos, you guys will know that I kind of talk about that a little bit, because just the process of folding them, it's not like it's hard, right? But compared to the Wrangler, it's not as quick. You can't do it all from right back here. You have to go to the front, flip it up, then come to the back, flip this over, and then when you do that, it's not a flat load floor. So you have this like 4 to 5, 6 inch hump that you have to move your stuff over and around, and you can't remove them quickly like you can in the Wrangler, where it's specifically designed to do that. Now, for me personally, I'm actually going to go with a goose gear system where it deletes the seat, and then you've just got this one seat back here, and then you've got the rest is like a flat load space. That's a pretty cool idea, so at least in my opinion, because this has a little bit more space than the Wrangler. That's what I'm going to do. But again, it just seems like it was a little bit of an oversight. And even the 4-door, from what I've seen, does still have a slight hump. It doesn't make the most sense to me, and I feel like Ford, if they fix that problem, it would be a fantastic backseat. If they just made it like the Jeeps but still kept that 50-50, then it would be perfect, because then you could do whatever you want with it. All right, so the next thing that I feel like Ford can improve on, and that's kind of a gripe for me, is the overall quality of the interior. I know there's gonna be people in the comments freaking out because I said that about an off-road vehicle, but the Jeep is also an off-road vehicle, the Wrangler, and it has better plastics and certain things are put together better in that. So since they're competitors, this needs to be as good or better than the Wrangler, right? So with that being said, certain things in here just don't feel as high quality, and considering the price, again, these aren't cheap vehicles, right? This particular one, mine was $55,000. So this right here, straight out of Fisher price. It doesn't feel high quality at all, and also the particular color, this kind of grayish plastic, doesn't look good. I feel like that kind of has a bit of cheapness to it. The shifter itself, the action of the shifter when you're moving it into gear, doesn't feel as nice as, say, the Wranglers, and just the quality of it doesn't feel quite there. Now, the entire interior isn't bad. There are certain things that I do like the feel of. These buttons up top right here have a good tactile feedback. The buttons on the steering wheel and the seats themselves, if you guys pay attention to any of my videos, you guys know that I think the seats are fantastic. But some of the interior just feels a bit unfinished, is the best way I can describe it. You know, this grab handle wiggles around quite a bit, whereas in the Wranglers, they don't do that. So Again, there are things that are nice in here, but then there's quite a lot where it's like, okay, the Wrangler's interior isn't necessarily a luxury car, but they hide the cheapness well, if that makes sense. Whereas this, it's a bit more apparent where some of those really cheap plastics are. So I feel like Ford could definitely improve that a little bit, especially considering these vehicles aren't cheap. The average price of a new car is 40 grand. This particular one being 15 grand higher than that, should probably be a little bit nicer, but that's that. One of the things that I want to point out is the Bronco obviously has frameless windows, right? So there's no actual frame to the door, it just stops here. This isn't actually part of the door or the top. Ironically, I don't really know what that is. But one thing that I think is kind of interesting is, so obviously the windows go up into the top, and when you open it, they're supposed to come down, but sometimes they don't always do it as fast as you need them to. So you can open the door and kind of catch the vehicle off guard, and it will kind of wobble. And someone in the comments was like, oh, it's supposed to do that. It's not supposed to wobble. It's supposed to come down and then be open. So like that right there. And I've owned a Camaro 1LE that didn't do that, and my C8 Corvette never did that. So I feel like, you know, when you go to grab it, it should come down initially, because you have to kind of wait for it to come down, and it doesn't always do it as quick. So that, I'm sure, will just get fixed with some software or something like that. But every now and then I feel like, oh, I'm about to break my window. So that's one thing. All right, guys, so there you have it. Those are just a few of the things that I don't like about my Bronco and that I feel like Ford could improve on. Obviously, it's not a deal breaker for me because I still have it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, found it insightful in case you plan on buying one of these or you're on the fence between this and the Wrangler. I'm fortunate enough to where I get to have both, so it doesn't really matter to me. But anyways, guys, if you did enjoy it, give it a like and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, click that bell notification so you get notified for more videos. And yeah, we will be taking this thing off-road soon again, probably with the 392. I've got a couple of plans for it, but I just got to get the time and schedule it out. So anyways, guys, I will see you in the next one. Take care.